Hi, welcome to Across the Plane Fantasy Football Show, and this is your host Jake the Rookie, and we got Sports Talk Willie to my left, and today we're going to be talking about our 2021 Fantasy Football Breakout Player Candidates. We're going to have one from each position for you. It's going to be a good show.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. This is the first installment of Across the Plains Fantasy Football. We will be having a lot more content this year, rankings, and a lot more videos about breakouts and players you need to have, players you should avoid, things like that. But we want to get into a couple breakout candidates. We're going to include these players' ADP, and this is the ADP at their position, and this is just for half point PPR across all major platforms for fantasy football. And so we're talking about players who we think are going to outperform their ADP, players who might have gone a little bit later, some maybe not so much, but definitely think they're going to outperform their ADP. So, yeah, once again, like Jake said, check us out on Instagram and Twitter. Both of our socials are listed below, and then you can go follow at Across the Plane up there to my left here. That's on Instagram, Twitter as well. And then go subscribe to us on YouTube. Go give us a like. And turn on the notifications. Like I said, there'll be a lot more content coming your way for fantasy football. And if you have any questions about your team, about your draft, or anything, make sure you leave us a comment. So let's get right into it. We're going to start out with a couple of quarterbacks. Jake and I each selected a player from each position that we think is going to outperform their ADP. So the first one is going to be my guy. This is going to be Joe Burrow. And going at QB 13, I absolutely think he's going to be able to outperform that ranking. I think guys like maybe a Tom Brady are going to take a step back, but this team is going to be down a lot, and he's going to be throwing a lot. He did show last year that he does have rushing upside too. He had, I believe, 3 rushing touchdowns last year, and I believe he has upside of easily can get into the top 10. He has a stacked receiving core. He's got a good running game, and they're going to be down a lot. They're going to be throwing the ball a lot. We saw it last year before the injury, and I think he can easily be a top 8 quarterback this year in fantasy football.
Yeah, I agree. I got him on my team. I think he was a 13th draft player, drafted quarterback in our league, so I'm excited to have him.
Yeah, all right. Next up is your guy.
Jalen Hurts, and I absolutely love the rushing upside. He's average draft position 12 across the board, and I think he could be a top 7 quarterback, and that's where I got him right now. I think he'll finish 7th if he starts the whole season. This guy's gonna put up numbers. Philly's gonna be down. They're gonna need him to be the hero, and I think he's got what it takes.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got some good weapons there. Obviously, the dual tight end threat. Devontae Smith looks like an absolutely incredible wide receiver there. And yeah, the rushing upside is going to keep him super relevant. I mean, it could be one of those situations with both these quarterbacks where, I mean, it probably will be where their teams are going to suck, but that could actually play into their fantasy football into their favor, actually. And so they're going to be throwing a lot, they're going to be down a lot. And yes, Jalen Hurts has the rushing upside. And I think for me, I'm looking at guys like Tom Brady and Matt Stafford who are going above these guys, and that's about the range where I'm like, okay, I think there's much more upside with these guys than some of those older guys.
Yeah, I agree. I think those guys probably they like the receivers better. They have better weapons, but these guys they're gonna be down and they're going to be throwing the ball.
Yeah, absolutely. Teams like the Rams, teams like the Bucks, with such good defenses, they can rely a lot more on their defenses, and they run the ball a lot more. So let's get into a couple of running backs. For me, this was a guy that was going a little bit higher, not quite as high, but I still think he's absolutely going to outperform this ADP. He's drafted as RB12, and that's Antonio Gibson. I think Antonio Gibson could easily be a top 7, top 8 running back. Obviously, the running back position on the top side, there's a lot of good running backs, but with this new offense, with Ryan Fitzpatrick, I think they're definitely going to be looking his way. A lot of checkdowns are going to be coming his way, and he's just an absolute stud. I believe they're going to be running the ball a lot. They have a great defense. I think they're going to be able to get ahead in a lot of games. I actually really like this Washington football team. So Antonio Gibson, I think, could easily crack that top 10 and maybe even higher. So if you took him, I mean, obviously he's going as an RB2 in most leagues. And if he's your RB2, I'm feeling really good about him as your RB2 with huge upside there for Antonio Gibson. And I mean, there are a lot of people who have him as a breakout candidate, but this is someone that I feel really good about him breaking out. So Antonio Gibson, if he fell to you, congratulations. If you went up and grabbed him again, congratulations. I think he definitely can crack that top 10 this year.
Yeah, definitely. I expect them to crack the top 10. The volume's going to be there. They just traded away Peyton Barber, so the backfield just got a little less crowded.
Yeah.
And he's going to get that red zone work.
Yeah. I think exactly. The touchdown upside could potentially just be huge for Antonio Gibson. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised at all if he's into the double digits for touchdowns, and we could potentially see 12, 14, 16 touchdowns out of him this season between rushing and receiving touchdowns.
Like it.
All right, next up, your guy.
I got Myles Gaskins, or Gaskin. I really like this guy. He can catch the ball. He's got great upside on a team that Tua loves to check down. He's going to have plenty of opportunities to catch passes. Love him to catch passes. Think he's going to be a monster in the red zone. I'm hoping the workload is there. There are a couple other backs in the backfield that he'll have to split touches with. But Myles Gaskin going at 21, he's easily a top 20 back, and I think he might finish in the top 15.
Yeah, I think that's fair as well. This Miami offense is going to be really interesting, to say the least. But I do think Myles Gaskin has a lot of upside. He's going to get a lot of checkdowns going his way. I like him over guys like DeAndre Swift. I like him over guys like Josh Jacobs even.
That's where Peyton Barber went. So
yeah,
that's a crowded backfield in Las Vegas.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kenyon Drake, they gave him big money too, so they're gonna have to say something for that. So yeah, I like Myles Gaskin a lot. I think and again, this is half point PPR, so the upside is obviously much higher in those PPR formats. But I wouldn't be surprised if he sees 6 to 8 targets a game.
Yeah, and Brian Flores loves working one back for the most part, so I feel like it's gonna be him to start, and if he starts falling off or whatever, they'll substitute whoever what needs to be happening. But I really liked what I saw last year, and I don't expect that to happen.
Yeah, extremely talented, great at catching passes. I think there's potentially a lot of red zone work too for him.
Yeah, and the volume. I love volume. That's my favorite.
Yeah, follow the volume
indicator.
Absolutely. So again, Myles Gaskin is going as RB2, RB3, which is absolutely phenomenal. If he's there as your flex RB2, I'm feeling really good about that. All right. Absolutely. Next up, we'll get into a couple wide receivers. And this is my Cooper Kupp for me. He's going off the board 19th. I'm actually a big fan of this Matt Stafford and the Rams offense. I think the upside of this whole team is elevated with Matthew Stafford. I just think seeing what he's done in Detroit, obviously he's had his ups and downs, but I mean there couldn't be a worse team to be on than the Detroit Lions. So this is easily the best situation, the best offense and best defense he's ever been in my opinion. He's got multiple receiving threats, which he's never really had multiple receiving threats. Cooper Kupp, I think as wide receiver 19, I believe he's definitely going to be able to outperform that at his position. I mean, I'm looking at guys going above him, such as like an Adam Thielen, Amari Cooper maybe. I think he can outperform that. Even a Chris Godwin potentially, Julio Jones. I really like Cooper Kupp. I also think he could be the wide receiver 1 in that situation. We saw 2 years ago that he was a fringe WR1 week in, week out, and that's with Jared Goff. And I just think his ceiling is elevated with Matthew Stafford. So I really like Cooper Kupp. I think he's a high-end WR2 with WR1 upside. I see him finishing inside the top 13.
Yeah, that's bold. I think he's just about. I think he's drafted right where he should be. I think he'll be WR2, but Will, I like the call. I like your points. He just always has trouble staying on the field. That's my one knock with Cooper Cup.
Yeah, and injuries are the hardest things to predict in fantasy football, but I believe Cooper Cup's going to get a lot of targets, a lot of volume, and in PPR formats, he's going to reward players. All right, so next up, we'll go to your guy.
Courtland Sutton. He also has trouble staying on the field, but I think at 32, he will definitely outperform that rank if he is healthy all year. He's easily a top 20 receiver skill wise, and him and Teddy Bridgewater, I think they're going to develop a great connection, and hopefully they can win some games here in Denver.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably are going to watch this and maybe say, "Oh, it's going to be Jerry Jeudy," which it definitely could. It's definitely going to be interesting, but we did see last year in Carolina with Teddy Bridgewater that he was able to feed two wide receivers.
They have even KJ Hamler. They got two great dual threat tight ends. There's a lot of weapons out there, but I think at 32, Courtland Sutton is going to be. He's a great red zone target, and he's going to be the guy that I think Teddy ends up giving the most of the target share to.
Yeah, I mean, he's going above guys like Juju Smith-Schuster. He's going above guys like um, a Kenny Galladay. I'm definitely looking at a Courtland Sutton over there. I definitely think he cracks the top 30. Could potentially be top 25. And week in, week out, WR2, high end WR2 upside, I believe. And next up, let's get into a couple of tight ends. First up is going to be Jared Cook, and he's going off the board 15th. And obviously, tight end gets a little bleak outside of the top 5 or 6, we'll say. I think he can definitely crack the top 10. I really am a big fan of this Chargers offense. I know there's not a whole lot of weapons, let's be honest. It's going to be Keenan Allen, it's going to be Austin Eckler, Mike Williams is going to get some deep threats, but Hunter Henry was a solid fantasy player last year. Had some decent games, and I'm not saying he's going to go out and get you 20 points a week or anything like that, but I definitely think that Jared Cook can crack that top 12 maybe. I just think in this offense, with the new coach, I believe the Chargers coach is going to be a lot better than last year. I think he's going to be a super solid, consistent. He's going to be more of a floor guy where he might have a solid floor of 5 to 7 points a week, which at the tight end position in the back, the lower 10 is pretty good. And we'll see the red zone targets. We'll see what happens, but I think at 15, I'm liking him higher than some other guys.
Yeah, I like Jared Cook too. I think with Justin Herbert throwing to him, he was going to have a great opportunity to outperform 15. He will be a tight end one at the end of the year. I don't know why he's not drafted as one right now. I love the upside. It's a great opportunity for him.
Yeah, he's a huge target for Justin Herbert, and I think Justin Herbert's only going to get better. So I think big things for this Chargers offense and all the skill position players. All right, next up.
We got Mike Gesicki. And, I already had a Dolphin, and I picked another one. He's going 13th. I love him as a red zone target. I think Tua loves throwing to tight ends. And maybe he will expand this year, and hopefully we see those great weapons he has as a receiver be a threat. But I think in the tight end, he really looks for Big Mike, and I think that makes him a top 10 tight end easy.
Yeah, I totally agree with this. I don't know why he's going so low. I think he's going to get a lot of opportunity. I believe the top 2 receiving threats are going to be Myles Gaskin and Mike Gesicki, I believe, for Tua. I think Jalen Waddle is going to be all right. He's extremely talented, but I'm not 100% sold on Tua, and I believe there's going to be a lot of short intermediate throws, a lot of checkdowns, and that's going to definitely benefit Gesicki and Myles Gaskin. I think he's going to get a lot of red zone looks too.
Yeah, he had 50 receptions the last 2 years, and I expect it to be that number or above.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he cracks 8 touchdowns this year.
Miami's winning the division. If that's the case.
They could. Never know. Who knows? Maybe Buffalo. No, that's Buffalo's division. But there it is, folks. There are your breakout candidates. Again, if you disagree with this, let us know. If you are super, if you agree with us, let us know. Let us know what you think. Any questions, let us know. But as always, give us a follow on the socials listed below and the main page at Across the Plane. We do a full-length podcast that comes out every week. Make sure you check that out on Spotify or wherever you get your playlist or your podcast. We'll leave the link to that in the description. And like we said, a lot more fantasy content coming for you.
Yeah, so make sure to hit that notification bell, and you'll be notified when we come out with the new fantasy football content or any other content from the Across the Plane page. Thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate it. Peace.